Hello everyone and welcome to the Ouidad styling review. I am Vianney Estrella. I will be introducing you to our line, working through our stylers from start to finish. We have plenty of styling products that suit everyone's needs and everyone's curl type. Ouidad was founded by Ouidad Stephen almost 40 years ago in New York. She began in her kitchen to bring something new to the curly world. She was having trouble finding something that suited her needs and figured, well, I can't be the only one with this problem. So she developed Ouidad. Ouidad has been known for its high quality products and for its array of different styling products, from creams to gels to aftercare products to repair products, everything to suit your needs as needed. From left to right, we have our advanced climate control. This is part of our regimen that works for every curl type, which is wonderful. So it doesn't matter where you start, or if you've never used Ouidad before, that would be a great place for you to begin. We have our shampoo and conditioner, as well as our Feather Light cream. As it suggests, it is Feather Light. It is an excellent blowout cream should you choose to smooth out your curls. And we have our Advanced Climate Control Humidity Gel. This is our #1 bestseller because it does just that. It helps fight against frizz and humidity. And as we know, our curly girls tend to fight frizz, and that is their #1 problem. Continuing on, we have our Vital Curl, our Curl Quencher, our Curl Immersion, and we have something that is called our ultra nourishing cleansing shampoo. That is excellent for a drier texture, so think of overprocessed hair. It can even be used for our blondes that have been struggling with a little bit of dryness, especially with this weather and this time of year. So there's literally something from everyone. You may also notice that our products are color coded, so you know exactly where to go. They also will let you know on the bottles themselves what curl type it is best for. Now, as stylists, we all know that we like to think outside of the box. So if you feel compelled to try something new that doesn't necessarily specify for your curly girls, you can absolutely use it. Just always remember that our products are best layered over each other and not cocktailed. A great way to remember that is to think about your skincare regimen. You start with your cleansing before you go into your moisture. So same thing with our products. We have some excellent primers within each line that'll help to give some moisture outside of the shower. I'm going to first introduce you to our ACC gel. This is great for curls that need a little bit more hugs around them. Think of people who tend to get really frizzy. It doesn't matter what type of weather. It could be just their hair is naturally more frizzy than others, or it could be the humidity or rainy days that kind of influence that a little bit. What I love about this gel is there are 2 parts to it. It goes on hair that is Ouidad wet. What we mean by that is we want that squishy little feeling that you get when you squeeze the hair. That means that it is wet enough to take our products. Our products are very concentrated. As I mentioned earlier, we have some wonderful ingredients that work best for your curls. So you'll start by getting your client prepped. And what we like to suggest prepping with when you are first using our line is our Waterworks clarifying shampoo. It does what it suggests on the bottle. It does clarify the hair, but not so much that it takes all the goodness out. It just helps to remove buildup to get the hair prepared to take these styling products much better. It is paired with its own conditioner, and that is here. This can be used as a leave-in as well, and it's great for everyone to use. That's part of our Curl Essentials line, which means that it is very flexible. As I mentioned earlier, you can work between one line or another and see what works best for you. Outside of our Advanced Climate Control, we go into our Curl Shaper family. This is excellent for curls that need a little bit more encouragement. So Curl Shaper is a weightless moisture, just enough to get the hair hydrated while not weighing it down. We do find that looser textures have a little bit of a problem with weight, because if something is overly conditioning, it's going to weigh their hair down. and most of those curly girls want a little bit of volume, something to amplify. So this is where you guys would go. This is wonderful because it can be used as a primer right after you condition your clients. It is lovely because it not only smells excellent, but the consistency is great too. This is what I like to use underneath my volumizing jelly, also from our Curl Shaper line. I like to use it as a little bit of a moisturizer as well. This volumizing jelly is called Out of Thin Hair. It is a beautiful, beautiful hybrid product that if I literally put a little bit on my hands, it might be a little difficult to see on the camera, but it looks literally like a cream and a gel. Like if they just got married and had a baby and created this. It is one of the few products that I found that have the perfect consistency for amplification without the weight. It also has a lovely finish to it because it is soft to the touch, but it also has a great amount of hold, so you don't have to worry about it not doing enough. It's definitely going to do the trick for our more classic curls, our loose or spiral textures. All of our products work to increase the moisture as you go down the line. I organized everything to help you guys familiarize yourself with where to begin, and to let you know that this is going to be for everyone. Think about a little bit of moisture, a little bit more, and then a ton. As I mentioned, everything is color coded, so you know exactly where to go for your clients. And we also have something for everyone, no matter what they prefer. So a lot of curly girls back in the day used to love a good mousse. Well, we have a mousse for them. We're one of the few companies that still make a mousse. This can also be used as a primer. So once you get a good amount of moisture on your clients, you could follow straight through with this, and you can pair that with a gel to get a little bit of extra hold. This is part of our Vital Curl line. This is excellent for clients who have more of a spiral. So for our spirals, they like to have a little bit more of a hold in their hair, and this is where Vital Curl fits in. It's increasing a little bit of that hold while increasing a little bit more of that moisture as the hair needs. As we work up into our curls and get a little bit of a tighter curl, we tend to see that the hair is a little bit more dry. So that is why we tend to increase as we go in our product lines to make sure that each curl type is getting exactly what they need. Our curly girls that have a tighter texture also like some curl elongation. So after moving along from our curl quencher line, we go into our curl immersion. So this is wonderful for tighter curls, kinkier curls, somebody who is really trying to maximize their length. One of the biggest problems that I find with my tighter curl community is that the products that they are using are causing shrinkage. With that in mind, the products that you use, you want them to help you to create the opposite. So coil infusion is a great starting point. It'll say on the bottle it's a gentle clarifying shampoo because it doesn't strip the hair away from all its goodness either. So although you'll find 2 clarifying shampoos within our line, none of them are going to strip it. Let's say you're prepping for a color correction and you're trying to get some color out or a little bit of fadage on a toner. It is not aggressive like that. It's actually much more gentle. Our products are intended to prepare you for the next step, so to prepare you for your styling products. We have this as a shampoo, and then for our girls that are used to not doing a cleanser as often and prefer a cleansing conditioner, we have something for them as well. This is our Curl Immersion No Lather Coconut Cream Cleansing Conditioner. It is for drier hair, as it states on the bottle. It comes with a great little pump, and the consistency, you can see, is a cream. We do recommend that you pair your clients with a clarifying shampoo, even if they choose to use a cleansing conditioner, because we don't want the hair to build up naturally from sebum, which is the oils that our scalp naturally create. we want to make sure that we are keeping things clean. So I typically recommend that my clients shampoo with a clarifying shampoo about once a month, depending on their scalp, of course. Everybody's needs are a little bit different. Here we have our ultra nourishing shampoo. This is a cleansing oil shampoo. It is excellent, as I mentioned earlier, for our blondes or our color treated guests. Somebody who's struggling with a little bit of dryness but maybe doesn't necessarily fit in the tighter curl community. This is also great for everyone. Should their hair be thirsty, this is exactly where you go. This is its mate. It is a treatment, but it can be used as a daily conditioner. We have some excellent products for this time of year, being that everybody gets a little bit drier and itchier. We have a bubbling mask that can be done as an add-on service, so a great way for you guys to make a little extra money behind the chair. It doesn't take much time, and it does just that. It'll literally bubble up the scalp. This bubbling mask is called Ready, Set, Clean. It literally bubbles up on your scalp, gives you a little tingly feeling, and prepares the hair for its next guest. This is a serum that has some beautiful little beads in there. This is to help with a little bit of thickening, and also for guests that are struggling with breakage, be it a chemical breakage or something maybe caused by heat. We are in a new era in the curly community. We are noticing that girls are embracing their curls. Some of the big problems that my guests have experienced themselves when they're coming in for their Ouidad haircut is that their haircuts haven't been tied with a lot of product knowledge. So it's important that we let them know exactly what their hair needs, because if we don't do so, they're gonna run over to Ulta and have one of the gals there explain something that may not be the best for their hair type because they just don't know what to recommend. It's always better to do your recommendations in salon, and it gives you the opportunity to make a sale. So it's a win-win. I always tell my clients that much like when you visit the doctor and they make a recommendation for a medication to take home, that's where I fit in. I know where their hair is, I know what has been done, because I'm their stylist, so I'm gonna recommend what's absolutely best to take them to the next step at home and maintaining their color services. And then towards the end of my products listed here, I have 2 spray hairsprays. This one is a wonderful hairspray to use for doing updos. It's great for styling. It is not rough, and it does have a little bit of nourishment, so it's excellent for your curly girls because the mist is so lightweight. We can see how light it is, and to the touch, it doesn't leave any stickiness. It's very soft. It has a pleasant smell. I love to use this when I'm doing updos or I'm working on shows because it allows me to do some heated styles without causing any damage or any tackiness. I can brush out through something if I'm not happy with my end result, and I can continue on with my styling. I wanted to also share with you guys one of my favorites. I use this on my hair today actually. This is our Botanical Boost. It is intended to energize your curls, but it also works as a refresher, which is awesome. I use it to give my hair a little bit of texture prior to curling. I naturally have a good amount of volume, and I am more on your wavier side. I have a few spirals under here, but I tend to be a little bit loose throughout. So I like to add a little bit of texture. I love to encourage some volume and some hold on my ends without making my hair feel like it has too much product. I tend to be a 3rd day washer. So it's great to consider your products, to not overuse them and use the right amount so that you can go on for a few days with what you have already. So that is our spray. Along with that, I use the Featherlight Cream. This does have a bit of heat protection, so if you like to diffuse your hair, this is excellent to give a really, really light hold. A great blowout cream. It gives you a bit of styling, like a styling aid, without being too overpowering. That sums up a little bit of our line. Our line continues on beyond what you see here. This was just to give you a little bit of taste, a little overview, and should you guys have any questions, we're always available online on ouidad.com, or you can look on our salon locator to locate one of us to help you out wherever we can. Up next, I have my beautiful model here who's going to help me out with our rake and shake. Our rake and shake is something that Ouidad created to help everyone know how to properly distribute the products. Then how we begin is we take our guests and create 5 sections. This section here is number 1. We go into number 2, 3, 4, and 5. I always like to begin in the nape area because it reminds me of where my starting point is. We also have these beautiful capes, and they are available online to purchase if you guys are interested. As I mentioned earlier, we like to be Ouidad wet. So when I say sopping, I mean sopping. A good rule is to take a towel and just throw it on the floor to kind of absorb some of that moisture because your client is going to drip down. We'll take our spray. I prepped my model with the ACC shampoo and conditioner just as a great way to prep and cleanse. I've already previously used our Waterworks shampoo to make sure that she was ready for me out of the box, because we all know that the mannequin heads are all treated with a couple different chemicals, so I wanted to kind of break out of that. Starting in the back, making sure that she is nice and wet. You'll notice that her curls already look a little bit hydrated, and that is because I used whipped curls throughout as my conditioning primer. Think of this as a really, really nice leave-in. The consistency is more like a body butter. It is very, very lovely. The important thing to remember when using whipped curls is that you want to have even distribution throughout the entire head. So I'm gonna apply just a little bit more just so that you can see how I like to run things through. It's important to split up your sections. As you notice, I split in 2. That allows my product to get here in the center throughout, forward, and all the way around my client's head. I'll put a little bit more here at the top, and then we'll get into a little bit of styling. I hope everyone's enjoying the class so far and is learning a thing or two about curls and our products. I want to make sure that I'm in frame here. All right, so back to Ouidad wet. Spray, spray, spray until you hear that squish. All right. And take our ACC gel. It is a beautiful consistency. You can see it's nice and wet. The important thing to do here when you are doing your raking, maybe my girl over just a little bit more, is that you really want to lay your product down everywhere before you begin to rake. This makes sure that you have even disbursement, and you want to make sure that you have quite a bit of product on there. Raking literally means that you are raking the product through the hair, and you want to take your fingers in and you're going to pull out tightly. It's okay to see that water running through. You also want to be mindful to match your fingers to your previous section. This is working to use the heat from your fingertips to lay down that hair. So where all that frizz is living, we're fighting against that frizz. So we're making sure that A, we're laying it down, 2, the product is being evenly dispersed, and 3, we give it a shake and you release it, and that's what's going to start to build up your curls to make sure that they're not laying flat against the scalp. It's okay to come in and do a little bit of scrunching if you feel that you want a little bit more curl amplification. When the sections are a little bit larger, it is okay to split them in 2, but we want to make sure that we're working through our zones one by one. Check out the difference of that hair. You can already see that product working. So again, Ouidad wet, spraying everywhere, top to bottom. You can also use a brush. This is part of our wet brush line. And this is our Go Green curling brush. So it's perfect for our curly girls. You'll notice that each one of the bristles kind of give a little bit of movement. I prefer to work with my hands, but there are exceptions to the rule. If you have somebody who has a denser texture, then it's okay to get a brush to help you spread out the product. Once I see, you see that? Once I see that I have enough moisture in the hair, I can go ahead and continue on with my products. Same amount as before, making sure that I'm working around my section. This helps to lay down the little flyaways that tend to be most ornate around the perimeter. And I'm going to split this up in two. Okay, finding my sections, coming up, down, so in, and goes in through the side. You'll feel the difference as your hair tends to start to lay down. And give it a nice shake. I'm going to work a little closer to the camera so I could have some more room here. All right, much better. Okay. Now that we have more room, we'll try that again. Okay, so you're taking 4 fingers, you're coming in. You can see where those areas are, and you're going to reach in with your left hand and continue that process just the same. It's okay if you're not living in the exact same areas. This is just to kind of get you trained to repeat the process in the same sections and making sure that you're using all the goodness from your hands and from the product to get the right end result. Here, I'm going to give it a good shake and release. And when it's necessary for you to take a little bit of scrunching is when you see your ends like this. The water is going to continue to move through from top to bottom. So you want to make sure we just encourage that a little bit. Continue through your sections. When you are working in the crown, most of our guests are going to want to see the majority of their volume here at the top. So we want to make sure that we are elevating as needed right around here. We tend to teach our rake and shakes to come back when we are setting our products. But if you have a guest that likes to wear their hair on a certain side and have a part put in, then you can go ahead and work according to where that part is. Remember, we are etching the product all the way around first, splitting in two to make sure that we don't leave any dry areas. And if our sections are too big, we're going to set that previous section forward. This was the aha moment for me. So I was certified with a different curl company, and I was really happy with it because I didn't know that there was anything better out there at the time. I've always really loved curly hair since I was little. I literally prayed to have it as a kid. So learning that different technique as opposed to this one was a little bit of a learning curve for me. But when I saw the end result of our rake and shake, it was all over in a good way. I have never seen curls look as beautiful as they did that day. And that was just, everything changed from that moment. I love the idea that this product works to fight against the humidity and frizz, that it offers excellent hold, but that it doesn't leave that hardness at the end. You'll notice that as your client is setting, you will experience a little bit of a cast. Think of that cast as a way of getting the product to hug every curl. That's how I explain it to my guest. The hair is, for one, open. It's a little bit more dry. We know that curly hair has a raised cuticle, so all of those things are just naturally happening, and your clients are experiencing that on a daily basis. That's where these products and we come in, or your guest at home, to work against that. So when we're laying everything down and we're working with the friction, we're laying down that cuticle and that frizz. Some guests like a little bit of frizz because they tie that into volume. So you want to make sure that you leave the right amount behind. You can take a look at my gal. She's starting to get some really pretty sets, and she's not laying flat against her scalp. Once we work at the end to break up this cast, once it is completely dry, we can work to amplify this, and we'll talk about a couple different products that we could use then. These 5 sections are also what we teach in certification. They are a great way to keep your starting points organized and your finishing organized. And as I mentioned earlier, most of your guests are going to want the most detail on the top, volume, or the most curl definition. They're not always as concerned with, let's say, the bottom sections here, because they never see it and their friends never see it. So let's take a look at the difference with just having a little bit of water there to the definition that we get with a little bit of product. When you're spraying your guest, make sure that you don't spray them in the face. Try to spray either straight down or away, because that Ouidad wet will get them wet for sure. I also always say that our hands are like a separate set of eyes. That feeling is so detailed. You'll get to know each and every single one of your clients' hair, if they're experiencing hair loss, if they're going through maybe a stressful situation, or if their hair is a little bit more dry because of the time of year that it is. They're also going to help you be trained to what to look for while your products are setting. So what I'm looking for and what I'm feeling for is the lay down of that frizz. Your fingers are heating up that hair a little bit. You're transferring your body heat to that wet area. You'll start to feel the difference. You'll start to feel those areas become a little bit more smooth. And in this section here, we want to make sure that we marry those two together. So you'll just take your section up from the top. And because we want to make sure that we have a little bit of volume going on here, let me make sure I'm not blocking you guys. Just apply the same. We already have a little bit of product and we already went through those sections. So I came out just a little bit, but what a difference it made. We don't want to leave any lines of demarcations on our guests. We want everything to be beautiful and seamless. Right. We've got 2 more sections to go. Spraying all the way through. Looking for that squish. If your client's hair is overly tangled, you can take your brush and make sure that you are brushing from the bottom up. This will make sure that you are not hurting your guest, and it also helps to detangle much more quickly. It's a gentler way to do it. The hairline tends to have the most flyaways and baby hairs, so we want to make sure that we really bring those areas back, as well as here in our bang area once we're through. So gathering up all your section, again, splitting, the only finger that you leave out is your thumb. So if you can remember that. Okay. We also have a very detailed way to dry your guest with our diffuser. It is very important to follow the steps as we suggest because they are intended to give you the best end result. And they also are going to give you the best volume. When we set our guests under the dryer, we tend to, like I mentioned earlier, allow that water to come down. So what's happening is we're getting flat in here. When we do a more detailed blow dry, it allows us to give the guests that volume that they're looking for at the top. I'm going to separate this little area because I want to build up that volume for my next section. So coming up just slightly, giving a nice little shake. Going back and checking to see that line of demarcation, gathering my two sections together. And she's already smooth, so I'm not looking to do too much smoothness. I just want to get those two balanced and together. She's looking beautiful so far. Now we're going to move her over and work behind her, splitting up these sections. So we could see here is our crown. Back to our sectioning that I mentioned earlier, we have 5 sections. So remember, you're always gonna go right across, right where the bottom of their ears are. This is our occipital bone, so we're literally going from one end to the other, dividing these two, and we do a horseshoe shape at the very top. So separating section per section to create the most detail. Here. I'm gonna move my gal forward a little bit. We can see that we have a line of demarcation as well. So I'm going to be mindful to marry those sections together as well. And if your guests would like things in the middle, but maybe they don't like a harsh line, we can just split it at the end and create a little bit of softness. It's amazing the difference that you experience when you are working with the hair that's just wet, as opposed to working with the hair that has that gel in it. Although it's a gel, it's very hydrating, it's beautiful. So that you guys can see a little bit of product in action, I'm gonna do some prepping here with my favorite. So you guys could see how you would apply this in salon. So I would take a tiny little bit just like this. Making sure that my guest is wet to prep her hair to receive that product. We don't want to create any heaviness. So taking that little bit, because she already has some whip curls that I put in there already, I'm just going to use a tiny little bit just to give a little bit more hydration and moisture. All right. And you can see that although it's a cream, we don't leave any residue in the hair, and the weight doesn't shift. It doesn't make it heavy. It's still very voluminous. Taking the ACC. I'm going to work from here so that I'm not blocking the camera. It can be a little bit tricky when you are working upward in your sections here. Some of your guests like to wear their hair in a bang, so I would still push their hair up to get everything gathered and away from their face, but I'll shake it just a little bit and split it up. We're gonna get a little bit more of our curl encouragement towards the end when she's dry. Everything will spring up a little bit. And if she decided that she wants a shorter bang, we could do that at the end as well. So getting that away, we'll now work with our back sections as we began earlier. So splitting this, I just decided to split those in 3. Gotta love working with mannequins. They're not quite like working with your guest. All right, so another spray, making sure that everything is saturated, even, uniform. If the hair should call for a little extra product, as I mentioned, you'll get familiar with that by feeling. And go ahead and add some. And then working with the detail of your shaking. 4. I'm at work, so I see all my friends walking by smiling at me. Okay, just a few, working sideways to make sure that we don't leave any lines of demarcation. We're even with our styling. Give it a little shake and release. And sometimes it's not necessary to gather with your sections on the sides just yet. You can just lay things over and kind of fan it out. Right. Let's bring the girl down here. Much better. So last section here. Wetness feels good. A little bit of product. Working upward, you notice that when I'm working on the top, I shrank my guest down just a little bit. It's much easier when you have a guest that's sitting in your chair because you could just adjust it and bring their body down. Same thing, bringing my 4, working on the side, laying down that cuticle, being mindful of what I'm feeling on my fingers, the glidability, laying down that frizz. You can literally feel that it's raised. Okay. Coming up, doing a little shake and release. Fanning everything out. Okay, and scrunching up just a little bit. At the end of your rake and shake, you can go back and take a like a microfiber towel and help to absorb a little bit of that moisture. It'll help with the drying time as well. I'm gonna separate some of this. I don't like to put in harsh parts on my clients. And if I want a little bit more volume, I gather my curls back. So I shake them back because once I put this forward, it's gonna have a lot of volume. So making sure that I am not causing any more frizz, going over my sections. Okay, I'm gonna leave that soft like that. I'm gonna take a few seconds to set up for my blow dry. So give me just a couple. Part of BBI is also a company that is very dear to my heart, that is Bioionic. I have been using Bioionic for about 15 years. They are absolutely amazing. What I love about their tools is that they maintain the integrity of the hair by utilizing the hair's moisture to make it tiny, 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 using nanoionic technology to make sure that that moisture is penetrating that hair before dissipating the rest out. It's kind of like having a built-in heat protectant. So it's really, really lovely. I'm also using our Ouidad diffuser. What I like about this diffuser is that it's very versatile. It has a couple different attachments that you can use. This one in particular has more of a scoop to it. I like to use it for gathering the hair and bringing it upward. If I'm working closer to the scalp to get dry to begin with, I like to use this one instead. This allows me to get a little bit closer to my client's scalp and to help gather that hair to get a little bit of lift. So I like that. So think about the scoop kind of pointing forward for scalp and using the scoop that's farther back, a little bit more concave, to take that hair in to amplify it. The blow dryer I'm using is our Power Light. I am choosing this one in particular because it gives me control of the heat setting that I'm using, as well as the flow of air. With curly hair, we want to be mindful to not use too much heat because it's not only going to dry it out, but it'll keep you from having control of your style. First things first, we're going to work with our dryer working outward. We do this to help move the moisture along down the shaft, going all the way around. At your station, if you don't have a chair that comfortably can recline, you can roll up a towel and set it here on their neck so that they're more comfortable, and you'll just keep their head back as you are drying, just like that, laying back. And then we do side to side and ultimately flip forward. So medium heat, working downward. This is the beauty of the Ouidad way of cutting hair that clients go crazy for. So working with the airflow coming down all the way around. This detailed blow dry is what sets us apart at Ouidad. It allows our guests to not only learn how to properly dry their hair at home to get maximum volume and the most beautiful end result, but it also gives them more detail than they'll most likely do as well, which is what they're paying for. You'll want to take a look at your demographic to figure out what to charge for a rake and shake or even a Ouidad haircut once you are certified. We're always here to help you and suggest, but ultimately it does have to do with your experience, of course, and where you live. Once I come down and I'm comfortable with the amount of dryness that I get on the exterior, then I can start to work side to side. So I will comfortably lay my client back slightly in the chair if you are able to, or just have them propped up and sit up, working sideways, getting all the areas dry from underneath, from side to side. It takes about 5 minutes. So if you could just let your clients know, should you feel uncomfortable, just let me know and we'll rotate sections. But you want to spend about 5 minutes per side once you're comfortable with the amount of dryness. So what you are looking for is probably about 50%, give or take, on the outside, remembering that curls tend to hang on to moisture. So on the interior, you're going to find a lot of moisture that is still having a hard time drying out. That is why we're suggesting the movements between you and your client and their head to make sure that all areas are dry, and also making sure that we're giving the most with our volume. So I'll set my dryer down for just a second. So guest is laid back, we're done with the exterior, I'm at 50%. There we go. So just like that. So at your chair, she'll lean over to one side, and you can even bring your curls over for some more curl encouragement. Same thing, exterior here, and then coming in from the bottom. Notice that I'm being mindful not to fluff up the hair too much. That can cause frizz. That's also why we begin working downward and pushing upward. If the hair is too wet and it hasn't had a chance to let the styling product, whatever that may be, work, then it is going to leave your hair much more frizzy than you might like. A little bit of frizz is okay and is normal and natural, but too much frizz, your client's not going to be happy with that. So working in here, getting all those areas dry. Once I find that my section is pretty dry and I'm ready to go on my ends, I will switch my attachment. It has a nice little button here so you know exactly where to press. My hands are slippery, don't mind me. It'll release. And swap. And you'll know there's a little kind of button here that pushes out, so you'll know exactly where to align those two. So that little area matches up with the button that you push to release. You're looking for a little bit of a click to make sure that you are secure. And you'll also notice that in the diffuser, these little fingertips release air as well. So you're getting airflow here and here. Helps to speed up that drying time as well. Taking that hair and scooping it up a little. Brush the bang away slightly. And I can already see that I'm getting some volume and some curl amplification, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to shift over to the other side and we're going to repeat that process. It's great to also use a blow dryer that can be a little bit quieter. If you want to either let your clients relax or if they still want to chit chat with you, it'll allow you the option to do so. I like to keep my fingertips in front of the airflow to make sure that I am not using something that might be uncomfortable or a little bit too hot. Once we are done with our sides, we will ask our guests to flip their hair forward. So I'm going to take her off of here so that you could see. We would literally get their hair forward, shake, shake, shake. Use our hands to break up the curls. Make sure we're creating a little good. Okay. So here, taking our diffuser and our dryer again, same setting, same airflow, and bringing that up. This will be a mock-up, but you'll get to see a little bit of a taste of what you can expect in your end result. All right, so I got a little bit of volume going. Her hair is still damp, of course. The rake and shake still takes a little bit longer than that to dry. That's okay. Bangs, if I feel that they are a little bit too heavy, I can either trim them or I can push them back a little. And if you are pressed for time and you have a very, very busy day, if you are interested in moving your style a little bit more quickly, you can take your finishing mist. This product is excellent to help you not only speed up, but it's going to give your product a little extra hold so you can spray literally throughout. I like to make sure that I'm detailing the areas that tend to get the craziest on day 2, which will be the hairline. So you just want to cover up their face to make sure that you don't spray them. Working right along the side, just like that, at the top. And I like to go underneath as well, so that they can make sure that 360 degrees are good. Okay. And this is a little taste of our end result. Nice volume, nice curl definition, less frizz. You can also have your clients flip-flop their hair if they like to get a little bit of a different look throughout the day. They'll have nice volume if you notice on one side or the other. This comes from taking that time to give that detailed style from your blowout with the rake and shake. me give a side part. As we know, I'm a fan of the side part. You can also take a little bit of a different styler, be it a cream or a little bit of, let's see, let me think of what I'm going to use. I'll use a little bit of Featherlight cream. So I'll put a tiny bit on my fingertips, rub it in, and I'm gonna come underneath, and I'm gonna work to really bring up that volume at the top. This not only feels good, but it looks good. Okay, so I'm literally coming up from underneath, just above the ears, and massaging that scalp upward. That's going to amplify those curls, and then I'll come through the side and do the same. So taking a little bit of product, coming in, and just massaging it up. And then releasing. Anything that gets a little funky, you can reset. And that is our rake and shake. So to recap, remember to shampoo your clients with our Waterworks shampoo to prep them to really take in all the beauty of our products and nourishment and all of the different ingredients that we have to offer. You want to pair it with a proper conditioner. You can use something from the curl crunching line, or you can choose to use something else. As I mentioned, you can use different products from different lines as long as you're making sure that you're using what the client needs. Go and choose your primer. If you'd like something to encourage the curl, you can use something like the balm that I used earlier from our Curl Shaper line. Or you can use something like Whip Curls. These two are my personal favorites because of that really beautiful creaminess that they have. It's almost like using a body butter. Remembering that anything that's color coded either here or in our Vital Curl is going to give you curl encouragement, and also being mindful that there's a difference in moisture levels and moisture content. As we move on to tighter curls, we'll notice that the color also gets a little bit darker. So we're going from tan to a beautiful green, blue, and purple. That is where we are using products that are for our specific for curl types. You can also use the ultra nourishing products. They don't say on the bottle that they're for all curl types. Anything that is in this yellow family can be found to give a little bit extra nourishment to those drier clients, especially as I mentioned this time of year where everybody's hair and skin tends to get a little thirstier. We spoke about some great setting products. So our finishing spray as well as our styling spray. This is our Curl Last hairspray that can be used for any kind of updo styling. It is very wonderful. Going backwards, tightest. So for our kinkier textures, we have a curl cleansing conditioner, a clarifying shampoo, great way to also prep for products. Curl quencher, that's going to be a little bit heavier but not quite as heavy. For our drier textures, we have our Vital Curl that's going to give some curl encouragement, and this is going to be our Curl Shaper line that's going to give the most curl encouragement. Something for everyone, as I said. If you are unsure and you're new to Ouidad, you can always refer to the Advanced Climate Control to just get a little idea of what Ouidad is all about. If there is anything that I haven't answered, you could always refer to our website to see the details of specific products. Remembering we always want to start with a shampoo, conditioner, our primer before our styler, that we want to make sure the hair is Ouidad wet, using a water bottle and keeping that on hand to look for that squishy feeling. At the end of your service, when you are done with your rake and shake, make sure that you take your hands and you can take a little bit of oil. You can use it and break up that cast. That is going to release all that hug that you put into the hair to make sure that you're maintaining your style and locking your style in. It's going to create softness. So always tell your clients to not be alarmed when you are working with a gel, because they tend to think that all gels work the same and they're going to leave their hair crispy, but they are not. The styles will stay very soft and lived in. I like to take a little bit of a pomade and work around the hairline where I get all those flyaways, those baby hairs. So just the tiniest bit to make sure I'm laying those edges down very gently, very lightly, nothing heavy, nothing that makes it look like it's slicked. It also helps to give curl definition. So if you want some tendrils to fall along the face, along the hairline, you can do so, just taking each ringlet one by one. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed our class. You got a little bit of knowledge of everything from our lightest styling aids to our most heaviest, and that you learned something new in the curl family. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Vianney Estrella, here representing BBI, Beauty by Imagination, as well as Ouidad and Bioionic. Take care. See you soon.